So we will be discussing about implementation of DSP algorithms. So these algorithms are basic algorithms what we are going to discuss today. So first thing is while implementing DSP algorithm, we should know how to write a program to develop any algorithm. So first we develop an algorithm or we just write a syntax for any program based on which we are going to write a code or a program. So we are going to combine this with input and output routines to create some application that can work on some hardware. So here we are going to consider some notations, what we consider as basic notation, Q notation. So this is what we consider here. So this is a Q notation. This is used to represent certain formats of a number like Q7, Q14 or Q8, Q16 formats and so on. So that is what we use initially, followed by the FIR filters, IIR filters. So whereas in FIR filters we are going to write some basic programs and a subprogram which is FIR filter subroutine used for implementing FIR filter design. Similarly with the IIR filter we are going to do the same. And already we have discussed about interpolation and decimation filters. So here we are going to write a code which can perform interpolation and decimation operation, and this will be discussed in the next section. The first thing what we discuss is a Q notation. So whenever I want to develop any DSP algorithm, so normally in implementing it, we require a signal and its coefficients. And we know that the signals are represented in the form of some numbers, and coefficients are also represented by some smaller values. Okay, so whenever we go with the implementing it, we are going to use the signal values, we are going to use the coefficient values, and these signal values and coefficient values are stored in a particular memory or a particular block. So here we are going to discuss it with some notation. So for a fixed point DSP device used here, we should consider or we should represent a filter coefficients and the signal samples using some fixed point format. We have already discussed about that earlier, that is a fixed point format and um, a floating point format, and under that we also discussed about some of the values how we are going to describe it. So we discussed it with two's complement representation here. So that is a fixed point and a floating point representation, out of which we discuss here some representation in two's complement form. So example, if I consider n is equal to 16, that is the size of a particular number, that is 16 bit, and it is having a range from minus 2 power n minus 1 to plus 2 power n minus 1. So if I just try to substitute it as 16, so that is minus 2 power 16 minus 1 to plus 2 power n minus 1. So that is giving me the range minus 32,768 to 32,767. And these filter coefficients are normally the fractional numbers or some values which are very small. So these are the coefficients which are having certain range. And to represent this number, we require a Q notation concept. So for representing these coefficients, the notation was developed, that is a Q notation. And this Q notation will specify the number of fractional bits. So if I look into this example, so this is a Q7 format. So here we can see that a number will consist of a whole part of a number, and also indicating the sign of a number. And it also has a decimal point followed by a fractional bit. So whatever values we represent in Q format, that may have these parts in it. One is a fractional part or a fractional bit followed by a decimal point and whole part, and also the sign of the number. And whenever I consider normal DSP implementation which can be used, it requires Q15 format representation, whereas it is the least significant 15 bits will be representing the fractional part of a number. So that is what we consider in Q15 representation. So in the processor where 16 bits are used to represent a number, so since we have taken 16 bit, the Q15 notation will use the MSB to represent a sign of the number. So normally we know that whenever we want to represent or find the sign of a number, whether it is positive or negative, we will just look into the MSB of that particular value, and the rest of the bits represents the value of a number. So one bit which is an MSB represents the sign of a number, and the rest of the bits represent the value of a particular number. So in general, if I go with the 16-bit Q15 number, then n can be represented as minus B15, where 15 suffix represents the position of the bit in a particular number. So that is the 15th position or the last position in the number, because we consider it from B0 to B15. So B0 is the least significant bit of a number, and B15 is the most significant bit of a number. So n is equal to minus B15 plus B14 into 2 power minus 1 plus B13 into 2 power minus 2 plus so on plus B0, that is the last value, into 2 power minus 15, which represents the Q format, which is Q15. So that is the last one what we are going to consider it as 2 power minus the format, which is minus 15. So if I consider the range of this number, it is minus 1 to 1 minus 2 power minus 15. So if I just substitute the value into this particular formula, I get this range from minus 1 to 1 minus 2 power minus 15. So we take an example. What values are represented by a 16-bit fixed point number, and the value of n is given as 4000 H, and this H represents the hexadecimal value of a particular number, and it is to be represented in Q15 and Q7 notation. So a number is given which is a 16-bit fixed point number, and this 16-bit fixed point number is to be represented in Q15 and Q7 formats or notations. Now if I just substitute this value of 4000 in terms of a binary, then I can do it considering 4 as 0 1 0 0, because it represents 8421 code. So it is 0 1 0 0 represents 4, and the second value 0 is represented in binary as 0 0 0 0, which is again a 4-bit, followed by again a 0 which is represented by again 4 bits 0 0 0 0, and the last value which is 0 represented by again 4 bits 0 0 0 0. So I have just converted, or I have just represented the value 4000 H, which was in hex, to a decimal value, binary value. So we get it as 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 followed by 8 zeros. So this is just a general representation. But what he asks is, he asks the representation of this number to be in Q15 format. So if it is a Q15 format, we consider a total of 15 values after a decimal point. So we just place a decimal point after 15 values, considering from LSB to towards MSB. So that is giving me 0.5. So 0.1 followed by 14 zeros. So this is the Q15 notation of 4000 H. So it is 0.5. If I just change it in terms of fraction, it is 0.5. That is 1 into 2 power minus 1. So that is taking this form. B14 is 1, which is a value in binary, and 2 power minus 1. 2 power minus 1 is 1 by 2, which is 0.5. 0.5 multiplied by 1 will give you 0.5. Similarly, we are going to represent it in terms of Q7 notation. So same thing, we are going to represent it in Q7 notation by considering these 7 bits starting from LSB towards MSB and placing a decimal point, and that is giving me a value n is equal to plus 128, because these values what we get, these are giving us positive values, because these are the values uh, before decimal point. Okay, so this is a Q notation. So we take one more example, sign bind multiplier, where we are going to consider two values to be multiplied, n1 and n2, and n3 is a value which is to be multiplied. So n1 is again 16-bit representation, n2 is 16-bit, n3 is 16-bit. So Q0, if I consider n1 and n2, n3 will be again Q0. If I consider Q0 represented or Q0 format or Q0 format, normally we say it as Q0, Q7, Q15. So if I consider Q0 format for the first number n1, then Q15 for the second number n2, then Q15 will be the resulting value n3, which is a product, multiplied result of n1 and n2. And if I go with the Q15, which is the number n1, and again the Q15, which is the number n2, which results in the result n3 as Q30. So normally when we go with the 4 cross 4 multiplication, so if the inputs are 4-bit wide, the output will be 8-bit wide. If the inputs are 8-bit wide, the output will be 16-bit wide. So similar to that concept, here we are going to represent the number in that form. So we just look into a program which can multiply these two Q15 numbers. So that is n1 and n2. So normally if I consider these two numbers, 16-bit numbers, they are in Q15 notation. Again the 16-bit result will be a Q15 notation. So we consider the memory map register by considering the syntax .mmregs. So this represents the memory map register. Then comes dot data. So this is the assembler directive what we have already discussed in module 2. Dot data, it is the data segment what we normally consider in writing a code. If I compare it with microprocessor, we consider it as a data segment where we are going to specify the data. So one data is n1, which is a word, and it is 4000 H. The size of this is a word. It's not represented as bit or byte here. We take it as a word. And n1, we already solved it in the previous example. For 4000 H, we get Q15 represented or format as 0.5. Similarly, n2, we have taken here 2000 H, and n2 will be 0.25 if I represent it in Q15 format. Now if I just multiply n1 with n2, then I have to allocate some space for the result to be stored. I will be allocating some 10H space for storing the result, which is a product n1 and a product of n1 and n2. Next is dot text. So we are going to just write the code. Instead of dot code, we have here as a text. Then it is reference dash C underscore int 00. So this is the assembler directive what we are using for a reference. And dot sect and dot vector. So we have these two specified values which are represented in the DSP code. So reset, and this is nothing but a labeling what we normally do with the code. So n1 and n2, we can see that is again a code, again a label which is in a code, b dash underscore c underscore int 00. So this is a reset vector what we normally use as an assembly directive. So these some of the lines are common in writing any code for a DSP algorithm implementation. Then no operation, NOP and NOP. So no operation is done for these two execution cycles of a particular code. Then dot C underscore C underscore int 00. So this is the reference what we are going to consider. Then we are going to point to n1. So AR2 is actually the register what we have considered here. So any register can be considered. So here we are taken from AR2 to AR7, we have chosen it as AR2. So that is pointing to N1. So storing the value in N1 which is pointed by AR2. Then loading the temporary register with the value N1. So we are just loading this value into a temporary register. Then we are going to use a multiply operation instruction. So MPY is for multiplying the value N1 with the value N2 which is in the accumulator. So one value is stored in the T register which is N1. Then the another value is stored in the accumulator. So the value in accumulator will be N2 which will be multiplied with N1, and the result will be stored in A accumulator, and the result will be in Q30 notation because we have taken these two as 15 and 15 format. Then we are going to add the round the result by adding 1 to the accumulator content, so that is giving us the result. Then we are going to store this result as some product term, and we are going to save it as a Q15 number which is a product. So we are going to store STH and STL are two instructions what we normally use to store the higher bits of a result and the lower bits of a result. So we are going to consider that STH to save the number. Then no operation, so operation is not required, then end of this particular code. So this is how we are going to multiply the values. Then similarly with FIR filter, a finite impulse response of filter is given by this difference equation which is already known, and we are going to represent it in terms of a block diagram by considering some delay elements and the multiplier along with the filter coefficients which gets multiplied with the signal X. So that is what we normally require to do. One is we require H, one is we require X. Then we are going to multiply it by using some multiplication concept, and after multiplying we are going to add it, and the sum of those products what we get will be the result Y of n. So that is what we normally do. For this we are going to write a so this is what we do. The implementation requires a signal delay. We know that by using a delay element we can get x of n minus 1 from x of n, x of n minus 2 from x of n minus 1, and so on like that. So we are going to consider h of n minus 1 into x of n minus 1, h of n minus 2 into x of n minus 3, and so on. So here we are considering the next output based on which y of n is changing to y of n minus 1. So if y of n is changing to y of n minus 1, n plus 1, then we are going to modify the equation by just replacing n by n plus 1. Then the filter coefficients and the signal samples are to be stored, and these are stored in two separate buffers. So they are two circular buffers which are going to store this, and both are in equal size. So we can see that each of size equal to the filter. So that is what we normally use. And one auxiliary resistor is used to point to the sample, and other is used to point to the coefficient. So AR2 is used to point to the samples, and AR3 is used to point to the coefficient. So this is what we do. By using these two registers, we are going to store values in AR2, we are going to store the coefficients in AR3. So samples are stored in AR2, coefficients are stored in AR3. So this is how the operation takes place. So this is AR2, and these are the signal values, and this is AR3, and these are the coefficient values. And these two values are transferred to a MAC unit, which is multiply and accumulate unit. Here the signal is multiplied with the specified coefficient, and the coefficients and the products are being stored, and after all the products are obtained, they are going to be summed up, they are going to be added up, and that will be y of n. So this is just a algorithm what we have considered. So as I already mentioned, y of n is the output, n is the filter coefficient, and it has got some value, and h is the filter coefficients, and x is the signal samples. And these are some integers, or they are numbers which are represented in some format. Here it is Q15 format, and y of n is the output. Then, so this is a particular code which is written for this, whereas we consider two spaces allocated for x of n, y of n. So these two, one is for input signal sample, one is for the output, and the number of samples, so how many samples are required, and coefficient circular buffer we require some value, so it is again 16, and memory for sample circular buffer, so one is for the coefficient, circular buffer is required for a coefficient to be stored in that particular memory, and similarly circular buffer for a samples which are used to store it in a particular memory, and we have filter coefficients which are stored in sequential locations. And these are the assembler directives what we consider. So before that we are going to clear the output sample buffer. So this is how we are going to clear it, and repeat the sample count. So whenever we give a count that represents a sample value, that is a number, it is similar to a counter what we normally use in a microprocessor. Say for example 10 values are there, we are going to use it, we are going to load 9 in a counter, so that until the counter is reset, the values are being retrieved from the memory. So this is how the code is written. So any code can be used, like in this we have used direct addressing. So in most of that we might also go with indirect memory addressing, or immediate addressing and all. So even that can be used. So this is how we are going to consider. AR5 is pointing to the input sample, AR6 is pointing to the output sample, AR4 is pointing to the number of samples of a filter. So this is how we are going to write the instruction for storing it, and we are going to go with the filter calculations here. So here we are using call filter initialization. So this is the label what I have used for a subprogram or a subroutine. So whatever we have written as a subprogram, we are calling it to the main program using call instruction CALL. So select sign extension mode. So this is the instruction what we have used in module 3. So a sign extension can be used. Then next input sample we are going to load it, then call the filter routine again. So this filter is again a different subprogram. So this is a filter subroutine written for implementing a filter, and this is for initializing a filter. So we have two different subprograms written, so we are going to call it separately in the code, and we are going to store the filtered integer or a sample, and we are going to repeat it. So repeat instruction is done by using an instruction BANZ. So it is similar to jump on no zero, jump on zero instruction, like until the loop is terminated, or the instruction is executing it, and if it is not, if it comes out of the loop, then the operation is terminated. So that is what we use. So this is the filter initialization. So we can see that AR2 is a pointer for a sample circular buffer, AR3 is a pointer for a coefficient buffer, and BK represents the number of filter taps minus 1. So we have already discussed this under determining the buffer size. Depending on this, we are going to identify the buffer size. Then AR0 is 1, that is circular buffer pointer increment. So here we are going to increment, because whatever values they are stored in AR2, they are stored in the consecutive memory location, and one after the other data has to be retrieved from that particular memory location, which may be a sample set or which may be a coefficient set. So we require the increment operation to be done. Then this is a subroutine what we have written.